Welcome to Spoofers, the podcast where we talk about random things.
As you can see, I don't have a guest. You got yours truly, and there has been so many awesome people that have been on this show, and I can't thank everyone who's always been on the show. And obviously, I'm not a beautiful side guest or anything. You got yours truly. So, unfortunately, you got to look at my beautiful mug for the duration of this episode, and it should be a pretty quick episode, and it's a lot different than what it normally has been. I'm going to say, this episode is going to be geared towards the men that watch the show, and according to my audience, just looking at it, that's about, probably it's pretty split. It's about 60% men, 40% women that watch the show. And I just want to say, guys, thank you so much that have been tuning in, that have given me all your comments, and it's so cool to see messages like, "Hey, man, you're doing awesome. You're doing this. I watched the show. You're kind of like a." I was even called a blue collar Joe Rogan, which I think that's pretty safe to say. Everyone that has come on the show so far has been a blue collared guy for the most part, exception of one or two, but we won't hold that against them. And you gotta forgive me, I have kind of a cheat sheet in front of me here that kind of keep me on script because, as you guys know, I will ramble off topic and I'll go all kinds of different tangents. And so this kind of keeps me on here on task. But I want to say that this is going to be geared towards, like I said, the men that watch the show. Women, if you're listening, it's totally fine. You can listen to it as well because I'm sure some of these topics will even hit you. And if you have listened to the show, watched it, whatever, you know that I am a huge advocate, I would say now, for mental health. And this isn't due to my wife's profession or anything of the sort. It's something that I truly believe in. And so this is kind of going to be about that. And kind of experience like what guys go through regarding depression, what guys go through regarding burnouts, and later on I'll even have a clip that kind of shows a very good description of what that goes on. And I will even say, I've been there. And if you don't think I haven't, brother, I have been there. And I just want to say, as men, we're natural problem solvers. We work hard, we provide for our family, whether it's just, whether it's just you, your spouse, you have a whole family of 13 kids. You know, we work damn hard to provide for our families. And I will say at times it does feel like what we do isn't enough, whether it's we're not providing enough money on the table, whether we're not performing tasks at the house, whether we feel like, hey, we don't deserve the life that we have, or that we're not doing good enough to provide. It, but however, we suck it up, we go to work, and we provide for our family. And that's just what we do. And, on cloud nine, or I'm sorry, whenever we're doing great, we're on cloud nine. Everything is going great. And then, shit, sometimes we get our teeth kicked in and we get back up and keep going. Guys, that is just what we do. And like I said, I had my own adventure going down a path of I'm just constantly getting my teeth kicked in. And even though I was doing great, I felt like I wasn't. And just give a quick example, which I'm sure you guys are gonna be like, oh God, this just crybaby here. But just for example, I played the piano and I love playing the piano. It was a great stress relief for a very long time. And I always wanted to play a certain few songs for my wife. And I physically couldn't do it. As you guys know, I'm missing a couple fingers, but I just couldn't do it. And it just ate me alive. God, did I try? I played every day. I tried to do it. Pretty much I wanted to try and do it behind her back because I wanted to surprise her, like a nice gesture. And I just couldn't do it. And so just a simple hobby, man, it messed with my head like none other. And that's just kind of a small thing, but it is something that brings you joy is now, man, it's fucking with me. And like another example, I would see how great someone else is doing, like financially. You see them with everything that you think that you want in life, and I would push forward to try and achieve. And anyone who knows me, I'm sure you as well. You work damn hard to try and achieve anything that you can for your family, for yourself. And it just, with the way work was going and everything, there was no bonus for how hard I worked. There was no light at the end of the tunnel, I guess you could say. And I would let certain things go, like my yard started to going away, the pool not being kept up, and after a while, I start coming home into a house that I didn't even want to be at anymore. You looking at it like, man, everything's falling apart, everything's this and that, and yeah, you might say, hey man, get off your ass and do it, you know. And I knew that's what I needed to do, but I just mentally felt like I wasn't good enough. And maybe this happens to everyone's life at some time, and I don't have the answer to that, but I felt like whatever I was doing just was not enough. And yeah, sure, I'd get up after a while. I'd mow the grass, and I'd never let anything like get super out of hand. My wife might disagree with that, but I never let something get super out of hand. But it just seemed like I was just going down this downward spiral, and I could not get out of it. And I'm not here to cry about it or anything else, but that's just where I was. And but I'm going to show you guys a quick clip here, and it kind of hit me a little close to where it kind of tugged at the heartstrings a little bit. But here, you guys, take a look.
The hell?
Holy shit!
Oh my god.
It's a fucking Alaska Airlines Q400. What the fuck is he doing over here?
Hey, I found myself in a bit of a predicament. I'm in the air right now and just kind of soaring around.
449, are you not supposed to be on that aircraft?
Yeah. I did a kind of a bad thing, kind of a selfish thing. But it's all good. I'm gonna go check out Rainier.
Yeah, 449, so you hijacked the plane is what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm afraid I did.
Just flying the plane around, you seem comfortable with that?
Oh, hell yeah, it's a blast, man. I played video games before, so I know what I'm doing a little bit. Nah, everything's peachy clean. Just did a little circle around Rainier. It's beautiful. I think I got some gas to go check out the Olympics. And, yeah.
Well, if you can see the Olympics, the weather's good. I can see the Olympics from my window, and it looks pretty good over there.
Man, have you been to the Olympics? These guys are gorgeous. Holy smokes. This is probably like jail time for life, huh? I mean, I would hope it is for a guy like me. I got a lot of people that care about me, and it's going to disappoint them to hear that I did this. Just a broken guy. Got a few screws loose, I guess. Never really knew it until now. Hey, pilot guy, can this thing do a backflip, you think? If you were to do it, how would you do it? Think I'm gonna try to do a barrel roll, and if that goes good, then I'm just gonna nose down and call it a night.
Particular Rock 1, the only one just completed a barrel roll. On 2, confirm he did a barrel roll. Affirm, he cleared the surface of the water by approximately 10 feet.
All right, Rich, this is Captain Bill. Congratulations, you did that. Now let's try to land that airplane safely and not hurt anybody on the ground.
All right. Nah, damn it. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to. I was kind of hoping that was going to be it, you know? For long, I feel like one of my engines is going out or something.
And yeah, that was a pretty wild clip, you can say, right? Well, I haven't hijacked the airplane, and probably everyone I know, maybe minus one person, I can't say if he ever hijacked a plane or not, but it looked like a wild person just taking a joyride on a plane. Uh, it was obviously much, much deeper than that. And so what happens when you do get depressed and you get burned out? It we push away the people that mean the most to us. And that can be your spouse, your kids, your dogs, your friends, you guys, y'all get the idea. But, people have different ways of coping with issues. And everyone has always had issues in their life. And, it can go from people turning to have just a fun drink, like I'm having a beverage here. And you go from having a fun drink with a friend every now and then or whatnot. It turns to drinking to hide like their inside pain. And you have seen people, turn to various sorts of drugs. And sure, it might help at first. It really does might help at first. But after that, then what do you got? You go for the next thing and the next thing. And as we have seen, that I know in my life, heck, we have some awesome musicians that, hey, out of nowhere are people that we have grown up watching on television, all of a sudden they commit suicide. Like we've seen, was it the fellow from Lincoln Park, Chris Cornell, who I absolutely loved. And then you had a great guy like Robin Williams, where you think this guy's on cloud nine. This guy has all three of those guys, just for instance, have every single thing you think they could want in the world, but they're fighting some demons inside. And there's all kinds of ways that you can get triggered doing something like this, whether it's getting burned out at work. You don't turn off the news and you just hear about the political stuff here, civil unrest over there, the death of a family member or a friend. I mean, heck, even something close to you, like losing your animal, like losing your pet. That's tough. You lose an animal. That's tough stuff. Excuse me, but I'm no super mental health genius. But I will say that whenever I was going through mine, I safe to say, I pushed away the people that mattered the most to me, and the person that mattered the most to me. I'm going through all this stuff, and you just go down this wrecking path, and I did get help, and men in general don't. I will say they look at mental health as a sign of weakness. Shut the fuck up, go to work. Nobody wants to hear about your problems, and that hits home to a whole lot of people, and that's for the most part that's what we're trained to do. Shut the fuck up, you go to work. I don't want to hear about your problems. I don't care what you have going on in life. And in reality, you do need to talk to somebody every now and then. Whether it's your best, talk to your best friend. Hey man, this is what I got going on. And yeah, they might not be, a therapist or anything else, but it does help to talk to someone every, hey man, this work is kicking my ass in. And if you know someone who isn't having a tough time at work, well, I don't know who the hell you are, because I mean shit, I can cry you a story about what I got going on as well. But as you can tell, I'm not talking about some blue-haired protester that doesn't know what gender they are. This isn't about that. This, people like that, they thrive on telling, they use mental health as, I guess, like, how can I say this? They, as attention. And for us, mostly men, and women as well, mental health is not something that you take, hey, let's make this mainstream. Let's make this, it's you're literally fighting your own demons for whatever cause. And that's what this is geared for, is there's someone who really needs to take a step back and really look at life and, and what it is. And I will say, just from, a little bit of what I've done, is that the first person that you listen to is yourself. And having the proper mindset helps you tremendously. And your mind can play some wild games with you. And the thing about it is to have the proper mindset whenever your mind does start playing with you. And I've heard some stuff that I've told myself that I've never ever want to hear again. And long story short is that I got the help that I needed. And oh my God, can I say, have I changed for the better? And I will say, just by talking to, I'm going to say a therapist, if you are having any issues, it is like living again with like this super heavy weight on my shoulders. It's, I'm going to say that it is the best feeling that I probably have had in my entire life. And I do want to say that only you, looking at yourself here, only you can bring yourself happiness. Now, you might find stuff that experiences joy, like gosh, do I love, I love racing my car. I love working on it, for the most part until, my wife sees the bill, and then that's a whole nother story for all the parts that I've spent. But certain things are going to, like say if you're in a bowling league and you do great one night, hey, kudos, you're doing great, you experience joy. You are not, you choose to be happy at that time because you're experiencing joy. But I will say one big thing that I did learn is that I could not make someone else happy. I can bring them, I can attempt to bring them joy, but you can't force happiness on someone else, whether it's a family member, your spouse, in particularly, I'm talking about, I'm thinking I was going to make my wife happy by doing everything that she ever deserved in life. And while certain things do bring her joy, like I know, just like some other people here that are going to watch this, you give your wife flowers, that brings her joy, and whenever she's smiling and whatnot, she chooses to be happy. You did not make her happy. You gave her an opportunity to be happy. So I learned that, people choose, whether it's not, direct what they're wanting to do, but people choose to be happy. People choose to be miserable. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow, but that is something that I have learned. And when people choose to be miserable, it's because they have not found their happiness. They have something going on. And that is very unfortunate. And that is what this is geared for. Sometimes, you hear those awful thoughts inside your head. And it's not a pleasant experience, to say the least. But I really hoping that, this short episode, I mean, some of these episodes I've gone, guys, has gone, easy too. I think one almost went 3 hours one time. This is a much quicker episode. This is kind of like a checkup for some of my listeners. And if this only reaches one person, I think I did a great job. And there are so many ways to get help. And hell, I will happily get you pointed in the right direction if you feel like reaching out to me. But if there's so many resources. If you don't want to see someone, man, there's places like Growth Therapy. And if you feel like doing something online, I was not an online person. I don't feel any kind of connection to talking to somebody that I can only see like on a TV screen. And I will say, the talking, looking in this camera, I have reached several thousand listeners. And it doesn't feel like there's several thousand people on the other side of that camera, but I know that this will reach a whole bunch of different people. And I just want to tell you that, there is so many ways to get help. And if you don't have the money for, your mental health, there's so many other ways that you can receive it. And there's the county, you have all different ways. The state offers certain resources as well. But, or if you just like, hey, I know this guy, I see him all the time, referring to me, and I just, I feel like I need to get some off my chest. I am the least judgmental person that you have ever met. And as many have found out that, man, you tell me something, odds are I've done already forgot it after a couple minutes after you told me because I got my mind is like an open browser with 1,000 windows open up at the same time. But when you get my attention, I will definitely sit down and listen to you. But I promise I won't tell so and so about person XYZ's problems or whatnot. So if you feel like you need to get something off your chest, man, I'm here. If you feel like messaging me, that's cool too. And I will gladly listen to you. I'll, if you want to get a beer or not, that's totally fine. I might have a beverage, but I can even get you kind of pointed in the right direction as well. And that is what this is for. Just letting you know, guys, that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. While you might not see that right now, there really is. And you do matter no matter what the hell you're doing. You know, piss on your job. Who cares how you're doing at your job? As long as you're still able to provide and you are able to survive and pay your bills and whatnot, because that does get stressful. And just going on a small tangent on that is that I know that it is so easy to get consumed about what someone else is going on or what someone else is doing. And where our parents were even at whenever we were our age. And that can be kind of intimidating. You look back and you're going, oh my gosh, well, my parents, they owned their own house. They have, these fancy cars. They did this. And you got me, or you look at yourself, you go, man, my truck's 25 years old. It got 300,000 miles on it. That's a choice that I personally have because I honestly love having an older vehicle. But you can go down the road of saying, hey, this is tough. Or, man, you look over at here and it's so much cheaper to live. Why the hell is it? That's not fair. Why is it cheaper that if I move, an hour away, it's so much cheaper? I don't understand this or that. And I'm just telling you guys that, it is so easy to get totally down a rabbit hole of a something along those sorts. Because I was there. I've been there. And or you start looking at your credit card debt, or you start looking at, oh, I want to be able to go do all this stuff that I see on Instagram, or I want to go and I want to be the best bodybuilder there is. And before long, you're taking loans out of your 401k to feed that meat market. And, it is tough, and it is hard to kind of learn to live within our means whenever you see all this. Oh gosh, what's the proper word I can say on that one? I'm going to, you see all this wild stuff on social media where everybody's doing great that you're looking at. Oh my gosh, this person just dropped 10 grand on a blackjack table and they're cleaning house. Or you see so-and-so, at this luxurious resort or whatnot. Guys, that's not real. That isn't real life. Real life is finding peace with yourself. And by finding peace with yourself, you will find peace with everyone else that else is around you. I have found peace with myself. And will I still work to be better? You goddamn right. It's always about progression. But I have learned that, happiness comes from within. It doesn't come from buying something. It doesn't come from, doing better than someone else. It comes from within. And that is what I'm really trying to push on this one, guys. So, like I said, I just want you guys to take care of yourselves. And I understand that this is kind of like a what the fuck episode. Like, man, what the hell is this guy talking about? This isn't fun. And it really wasn't supposed to be a fun episode. It's just kind of like me telling you guys that, hey, if you are experiencing anything, please reach out and get help. I wish I did years ago. And it would have caused what's the proper term for that one? I'm going to say it would cause a whole lot of less problems. But most people, like myself, you really don't know that you're fucked up until you hit rock bottom. But let's try, just trying to say, guys, hey, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And in the future, I will promise more fun-filled episodes with the gang. We're gonna have it coming back next week. And all thing I want to say, guys, is until then, sit back, enjoy life. It's a great thing. We're on this rock spinning through the universe. We're actually going really fast. I don't know the exact speed. We're going pretty damn fast though. But everything is going to be all right. And I hope you guys can see that. And if you are struggling, like I said, there's so many resources out there. And I want you guys to experience life for what it is, because it is really, really a great thing. And until then, guys, I'll see you next time.